Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and we're going to talk about tabletop in this video. We're going to talk about Games Workshop stock price down more than 25%. They're blaming the mass DMCA striking of fan content for that. We've talked about Games Workshop before and how they're kind of starting to double down now on, many of the talking points in the tabletop industry right now. Well, we don't want the wrong kinds of people playing our games. And I understand that. Nobody wants the wrong kinds of people playing their games. The problem is a lot of people who are not the wrong kinds of people get caught up in that net when you make very generalized statements like that. And frankly, once you sell a game to somebody, you have no idea, what they're going to do with it or who they are in their personal lives. Does it really matter anymore? Are they hurting anybody with your game? Are they dragging your name through the mud? Does it really matter once you sell the game? So we'll talk about that. Their stock going down because of copyright strikes. We're also going to talk a little bit about this Dragon Ball YouTuber getting struck, since we're talking about copyright strikes, and this has been making the rounds. And this happened last week. It's a YouTuber who covers Dragon Ball and One Piece, and Toei struck their channel, and he's been getting some support from even PewDiePie. But it's kind of an interesting situation because when you're dealing with YouTube current year, it's not the YouTube of 5 years ago. Any snippet of video content from anything corporate owned can get your channel flagged and taken down. We've learned the hard way. We've gotten strikes before for just putting up little snippets of trailers, reacting to those. We've even done videos where we were praising certain movies and TV shows, and we've run 30 seconds of footage and we've had a copyright claim on our video. So people are like, why don't you do more reactions? Why don't you do more of this? I'm like, well, because the people who we're helping to promote will actually turn around and strike our channel for promoting their product. And a lot of times I think it's just lawyers doing it. I don't think it's the copyright holder per se. I think it's some, legal group working on their behalf. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 246,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Geeky is sitting this one out. She really doesn't care a whole lot about tabletop gaming. She finds it kind of boring. That's okay. I will talk about it. Before we even get into the Games Workshop situation, though, which is pretty interesting because their stock it's not doing good. I didn't even know they were publicly traded. I just found this out like the other day that they were publicly traded. I had no idea. But they're losing faith, I think. Consumers are kind of checking out. And I think it's a number of issues. I do think the DMCA strike, absolutely, that is hurting them. Going around and striking fan content, that's never a good look. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about this TSR Indiegogo. Just a real quick update on this. I did a video about it the other day, and there was a rumor going around that they had actually dropped the case against Wizards of the Coast, but they were going to keep the money, that they were going to pocket the money. And what had happened, and a lot of these websites, they pounced on this. They didn't even bother asking TSR. What happened is they're actually going to refile in Wizards' home state of Washington. They had filed originally in, I think, North Carolina. And this is the lawsuit they're trying to get Wizards. And I'll be honest, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if they have a case or not. I'm just telling you what's going on here. They're suing Wizards of the Coast for basically libel and defamation because they keep putting disclaimers on old TSR modules. Old TSR branded modules from the 70s and 80s, 90s. And basically it's like, oh, all this stuff was really racist back then, and we're not that company anymore. And TSR is like, well, this is hurting our brand now, and it's hurting some of the writers currently working on our stuff now. Could you take it down? That's my understanding of it. But a lot of these websites were going out there saying, oh, they backed down from Wizards after a day, but they're going to pocket the money, and that's not actually what's going on at all. They have to refile against them, I guess, in Washington, not North Carolina. They have a better chance of winning if they file against them in Washington. And this is the statement by Justin Lanassa, who is the CEO of the new TSR. TSR plans on refiling the judgment of ownership in Washington state and also carrying on its actions to have Wizards of the Coast remove the change of its legacy disclaimer, whatever rumors you may have heard, and there are a lot on Twitter. People are like, yeah, they backed down after a day. It's like, no, they're actually not. Not one media source reporting on the dismissal except for Clownfish asked TSR for clarification. I did. I actually reached out because I'm like, hey, we did a whole video about this. What is going on? Because people on Twitter are saying that you guys already dropped the suit, and they did. But now they're going to refile. So that's what's going on. And people were asking, what's going on with the money. And they were pretty clear, I guess, in their campaign that they're going to give it to, or it's going to go to the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. So anyway, just a real quick update on that. Here's the big story, I guess. Games Workshop stock price reportedly down more than 25% since mass DMCA strike. Striking of fan content and promotion of Warhammer Plus subscription service. This is coming from Bounding in the Comics. And I'd heard about this. People said that they were pretty angry with Games Workshop. They thought that Games Workshop would be one of the last tabletop companies to bend the knee. And not only are they putting out the obligatory disclaimers, we don't want racists playing our games. You have no idea who's playing your games. That's the thing. Because the guy showed up at a tournament dressed like Mr. H, I guess. Is that what we're going to call him? Mr. H, and called himself an Austrian painter. And they denounced it, big, lengthy denouncement. And this has been going on for the last year or two. And part of this probably is that they're a publicly traded company, which, again, I had no idea that they were. But their stock prices are dropping. Again, coming from Bounding in the Comics, you can go check out the original article. Games Workshop has become the latest major entity to learn that abandoning its core fan base in favor of chasing profit and wide appeal never results in the success social media engagement would have them believe. The once beloved, the once beloved tabletop gaming company has apparently seen a massive drop in stock price ever since it engaged in a mass DMCA campaign against Warhammer fan works in order to promote the mass consumption approved content featured on their official Warhammer Plus subscription service. According to a report by UK-based investment news outlet Investment Week, the ever-growing resentment of fans toward the company's tightening grip on its much-loved portfolio of characters and stories has resulted in Games Workshop's share price falling more than 25%. Holy crap. And you can go out there, you can see this decline for yourself if you go in the last 6 months. Look at this. So this is June of 2021. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Tabletop game sales are through the roof because people are staying inside. They're buying tabletop games. But look at this. Wow. 25%. Bafflingly, though admittedly unsurprising, financial experts have all but dismissed the fans' role in Game Workshop's rapid devaluation, with SVM UK Growth and UK Emerging Funds Manager Margaret Lawson even asserting that she did not foresee any impact from a boycott, and that falling stock prices were the wrong reaction. Well, it's this on top of them putting out statements and all that jazz too. And then we have the media, slamming them, being like, Warhammer is a game for Nazis. It's a Nazi game. They need to renounce the Nazis. It's like, I don't see you guys buying any stock. Just saying. I don't see you guys buying a lot of the stuff either, because the figures are pretty expensive. There's often a tension between franchises and fans, which becomes more acute as the value of IP grows and a brand is extended online into other partnerships, said Lawson, before complimenting the company's philosophy of out with the old, in with the new in regards to their fans. Games Workshop is going through this stage of evolution, which inevitably means a need for stronger control on IP and disappointment for some. They're selling out. So, tough shit, old fans. Well, we know how that usually ends. And As noted by UK Today News, fellow analyst Abby Glennie, the deputy head of smaller companies at Aberdeen Investment Company, agreed the move was a sensible one, and that a loyal customer base with a passion for the hobby is unlikely to be disrupted by a boycott. She believes is amplified by the media and in reality, very limited in nature. Nothing to worry about. Things are fine. It's all good here. She also noted that the excellent management team has pushed the business forward over recent years, particularly in relation to the very high margin and return business of licensing its IP across a range of formats, including video games, novels, television shows. I think they had comic books. Not everyone who spoke to Investment Week underestimated the potential of a passionate and dedicated fan base. Senior investment and markets analyst at Hargraves Lansdowne, Susanna Streeter, recognized that fan sites can be the lifeblood of a brand. Yeah, Warhammer has had a very dedicated fan base, probably one of the most dedicated fan bases in tabletop, and they basically gave them the finger in multiple ways. And this is what happens. Now, I'm not a huge Warhammer fan. In fact, I haven't touched anything Warhammer in like decades, right? And I was never that big of a gamer, anyway, when it comes to Warhammer. But I do remember even back in the day, like Warhammer fans were totally different than D&D players. Like they were hardcore, man. They had their battles set up at the back of the comic shops, and they would leave the table set up, and like you were not allowed to touch the Warhammer table. Like they had a game going on, and like if you freaking moved anything, they would like take you out back behind the dumpster, punch you in the gut, throw you in the dumpster. Like seriously, they were pretty hardcore. And for as much money as they're spending on this shit, I don't really blame them. Although it is understandable the company wants to protect IP from scammers replicating its miniatures using 3D printers, Games Workshop appears to have upset a diehard fan base by cracking down on amateur animations as well. That's the thing. If you're making bootleg product, I guess I can understand the company getting upset. But if you're talking about animation, like fan animation, is it actually cutting into their business? We've seen before how tips and advice can spread like wildfire through social media. So the growing clamor on sites like Reddit for a boycott of the company risks being the tip of the iceberg of problems for Games Workshop. Let's not forget that just like a month ago, they had a statement. They put a statement out like, we don't want racists playing our games. Now, granted, I wouldn't really be happy with somebody showing up at one of my conventions dressed like Mr. H. But I don't think it warranted putting out a statement. And this is coming from the media. The media is like constantly with Games Workshop. They're like, you need to renounce these players. You need to renounce. There might be some alt-right Yahtzees playing this game. You need to renounce them publicly. And so they do, and then they turn around, they look at Portland, they're like, you guys buying our games? And they're like, no, we just wanted to see you just, own those salty fanboys so we can tweet about it. It's like, we actually don't have the money to buy this shit. So good luck with that. I talked about YouTuber Arch commenting on the stock decline, declaring Arch was right again, inevitably, unavoidably, and now the world is slowly but surely going to catch up to me. Yeah, it's funny when YouTubers mention this stuff. We often get blasted because we're not, part of the mainstream media. And then when we're right, you never hear about it. Like seriously, like the mainstream media will eventually catch up. And then it'll be like, oh, hey, we just figured out that, Star Wars is in decline. Yes, and who's been saying that for months? Many YouTubers have been saying that for months, but you guys are a little slow in the uptake. Basically, they wait until it's safe to give an opinion. The business analysts. Like, is it safe? Is it safe to say that Disney is a damaged brand? Is it safe to say that Star Wars isn't doing so hot? Is it safe to say this or safe to say that? Can we talk about Marvel Comics not selling what they used to now? Is it okay? Is Marvel going to get mad? Is Disney going to pull ad dollars? But while it's going down with YouTubers are calling you all kinds of names and a bunch of liars and, par for the course. Arch said that how's that working out? The company has managed to shed 25% of its value. and say it's going to end just GD swimmingly. Yeah, I think this is not a good sign for Games Workshop, for sure. But I love it. The analysts are like, it's just growing pains. That's okay. They'll lose a bunch of Yahtzees and then they'll get good people buying their games. No, because it's a very expensive hobby, right? So speaking of copyright strikes, let's talk about this. This Dragon Ball Studio sparking outrage after a popular YouTuber gets slammed with copyright claims. PewDiePie even covered this. This is this is modern YouTube. Totally Not Mark was struck on YouTube. He lost 150 videos after claims were made by Toei, studio behind Dragon Ball. Now, we talked about this. We talked about channels getting struck for manga content before. It was Shueisha, I think, was striking channels, and it turned out it wasn't actually them. But this is probably a third party going around just striking whatever they can strike, because YouTube has an automated system set up that they can actually tell if you have video footage from somebody's copyrighted whatever. Like I said, we've done trailer reactions before. We've put only a few seconds of a trailer into a video, even though it's legally considered fair use. The copyright holder can tie it up indefinitely, and they can just be like, we're going to hold this hostage. And we've only gotten a strike, I think, once. And that was DreamWorks. And eventually we got that reversed and reinstated because we were reacting to the She-Ra trailer. And I know what happened. It was somebody from DreamWorks or a She-Ra stan or somebody targeted and flagged our channel. But, we've had before where we reacted to, just recently, we reacted to 8-Bit Christmas, the trailer. And we didn't show a whole lot of the trailer, but we actually praised it and said it was really good. And it's currently being held up by HBO. Like, they're getting the money from the views on that video. It hasn't really negatively impacted our channel, but somebody there has to manually say, oh yeah, this is okay. And they're not doing that. And look, technically it's their content. So, if they want to monetize it, that's fine. But striking somebody for, being a super fan, it's kind of like, it's dicey. I mean, there were so many reaction channels on YouTube for so many years and I wonder how they get away with it. I've always wondered this, because they're always using like Disney clips, and I've seen channels that were just, Cartoon Network. There was a whole kind of group of like Steven Universe reaction channels, and they were using all kinds of clips from Steven Universe. I'm like, how are they not getting shut down? Even though there's no audio, you can argue fair use to a point, but when 90% of your video is actually footage taken from a copyrighted TV show, it's dicey. And you wouldn't think that Toei would do that. You think the Japanese might be better about that, but apparently they're really starting to crack down on it. And this guy got caught up in the net. So, anyway, yeah, Totally Not Mark posted an update to fans on Twitter about his videos. It was there, the reviewer and the anime entertainer confirmed that up to 150 videos on the channel have been blocked due to copyright claims by Toei. The majority of these videos were about Dragon Ball and One Piece. Over the last 24 hours, I've sat back in disbelief, shock, and sorrow as my life's work has been unfairly ripped from me, Fitzpatrick said in his newest video addressed to YouTube and Toei. 2 nights ago, I received an email notifying me that 15 of my videos had been copyright claimed and blocked by Toei. An hour later, that number rose to 28. And when I woke up this morning, it had reached 150 videos that my audience can no longer see and I can no longer monetize. As a result, the main source of my company's income is gone. The video goes on to share Fitzpatrick's views on the situation and how these strikes have all but annihilated revenue for his brand. With employees on his payroll, the reviewer says his team adheres to the fair use terms laid out by YouTube, but Japan's take on copyright material is more complicated. And they're really cracking down because of all the scan sites and the torrent sites. Unlike the US, Japan's copyright law does not allow for fair use, and this is where things get sticky. As noted in Japanese law, authors and copyright holders can preserve the integrity of their work and its title against almost anything they take offense to. These rights holders have a huge amount of control over their IPs in Japan, so where using content stateside might be seen as fair use, it would be considered illegal overseas. Japan's copyright claims have become increasingly aggressive in recent years due to piracy concerns, and other YouTube accounts have dealt with strike sprees, though not to this degree. I think he was flagged manually. I think somebody found his channel, and it was either a lawyer or somebody who just didn't like him, and they flagged him, because a lot of times YouTube will turn a blind eye to offenses until somebody flags them manually. I mean, I've heard of people that have had, 2-3-year-old live streams, and there was something off color maybe said in one of those live streams, and it would all of a sudden wind up being, a community violation or whatever. And that's because somebody started pouring through their old content looking for something offensive to try to get these YouTubers. Fitzpatrick has little recourse to address it. That's it. Unless Toei removes the claims. And YouTube, they don't want to fight with them. To YouTube, it doesn't matter how big your channel is. Like, there's thousands and thousands of YouTubers that make money, and they're going to be like, we'd rather just cut you loose or shut your channel down than deal with the problem, So PewDiePie jumped into the situation on December 9th. He uploaded a video reacting to Toei's apparent mass copyright strike, calling the studio a big shot company that couldn't care less about some random anime YouTuber. Japan is so notoriously dumb when it comes to copyright, backwards thinking, or just overall lacking in what most people agree is fair use, and they don't care. They're a big company. That's it. That's true. He was talking about Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo tried to copyright claim any video footage of people playing their games, and that went over like a freaking lead balloon. It didn't work out very well. And they're like, oh yeah, you can monetize your videos if you join our MCN or some dumb shit like that. I remember that. And that came and went. And, I have to wonder if, Dragon Ball and One Piece will suffer in popularity if they keep striking channels that are favorable. It's not like they're slamming the shit out of their stuff. They're actually helping promote your stuff. If it's going to wind up going down like Games Workshop, I don't know. Most people aren't even aware of this. I mean, this is such a weird thing to happen, and normies have no idea, But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.